Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Command of Nature unboxing. This is for Sand and Wind expansion, so this is gonna add two more groups to the game. Um, this is a special foil cover, much like our exclusive edition we showed off in the base set video. This was listed as a Kickstarter exclusive. Now I don't know if that just means the shiny box, or specific parts, or was just unlocked during the Kickstarter. And it'll be available in retail or not. So I won't make some claims to say this will never be available in retail. It was just listed as a Kickstarter thing, but sometimes that just means it's unlocked. Some campaigns are a little bit more confusing. So this is going to add the Sand and Wind elements to the game. So you have two brand new elements. Erosion and Tailwind are two new effects we're gonna have in this game, with some different tokens. So we're gonna read over those really quick because we've had the shields and the boosts before, but now we have actually two different extra effects that are gonna add some more intriguing stuff. So erosion, certain sand faction effects and faction actions allow you to add erosion to elementals in your opponent's formation. Each erosion token is a double-sided, with one side representing a 1, the other representing 3 erosions. If an element in your formation has any number of erosions at the end of your turn, remove 1 erosion from that and add 1 damage counter to it. If the element of the erosion has any number of shields at the end of your turn, remove those shields instead of adding 1 damage to that element. So basically it treats as damage to your shields anyhow. Yeah, you only remove 1 and add 1 damage, so it does take time to remove all of them. And then Tailwind, or certain wind factions and effects allow you to add Tailwind to an elemental in your formation. Each Tailwind token represents 1 Tailwind, and may not have more than 1 on an elemental at any time. If an elemental is already attacked, if an elemental that has already attacked has Tailwind during phase 2 of your turn, you may use that elemental to attack again. To do so, remove the Tailwind token. The elemental then plays a second attack command. Then play a second attack command to attack again with the elemental. Note, each attack command you play during this turn still costs 1 AP. So it's just letting a character attack twice. So there are tokens. You have our Tailwind and our Erosion, our 2 level up icons. Flip them over. These will have 3s. These don't have any because they're not double-sided like that. Alright, let's look at our 2 main guys. We have Cyclone, the Wind Sage, who is a bird of some sort, possibly a parakeet, who has, at level 4, add 1 Tailwind to an elemental in your formation. At level 6, remove 2 Tailwinds from elementals in your formation and swap position of 2 connected elements in your opponent's formation. And then at 8, remove up to 2 Tailwind from elementals in your formation, then deal damage equal to twice the number of Tailwinds removed to an element in your opponent's formation. So cool. So it's like, add 1, let you attack some more, then you can start removing them to like manipulate where your opponents are to mess up some of their plans. Or you can remove them eventually to do some damage. And it's up to on the last one. You can always remove 1 if you would like to. And then our other one is Dusty the Sand Sage, who is a chinchilla, I believe, who has, at level 4, add 2 erosion to an elemental in your opponent's formation. At 6, add 1 erosion to each elemental in your opponent's formation that has at least 1 erosion. It's just going to keep doing damage to them. And remove up to 4 erosions from one of your elementals in your opponent's formation to deal 4 damage to an elemental in your opponent's formation. So yeah, this is going to let you just remove them and then do the damage immediately rather than it taking time. So these are just, they're time-delayed damages. They're going to keep getting rid of shields. If someone can add a shield every turn, that there's an erosion token on, it's going to keep, it'll just negate it, right? So that's pretty cool. Right, we'll see what they each do. So obviously these guys are going to have a little bit more advantages because they're going to gain, with gaining those extra tokens versus the other guys not having direct access unless they buy them. But the other guys have effects like gaining extra boosts or extra shields, which these guys don't have. So it kind of works out that way. So we have our league. We have Cyclone, or is our main Sage, who has the collect 3 gold. We have 4 copies of our basic elemental Gust, who's a little tornado with a scythe, who's our 2/2. And we get our warriors. We have Swift Whiskers, which is a little calico cat. Add 1 Tailwind to a winged elemental in your formation. So it does add Tailwind, but that should be specifically for a winged. Gale Force Gorilla. When you add Tailwind to an elemental in your formation, you may remove it and collect 2 gold. So you can place one, but then you can get rid of it and add some gold. And then we have Triumphant Squall, who's actually a snow owl, not a squall. When this elemental leaves your roll 1, add 1 Tailwind to this elemental, or add 1 boost to this elemental. That's fun. So if he backs off, he actually gains extra attacks. And our champions, at level 4, we have Hostile Talons, who's an eagle with a mace, which is really fun. Add 1 Tailwind up to 6 elementals in your formation that do not have a Tailwind on them. At level 6, we have Fortified Antelope. When this elemental attacks with a Tailwind on it, add 2 strength to its attack during the attack. And then we have Avian Gust, who's a herring, type of crane. Remove up to 3 Tailwinds from the elementals in your formation. Then add boost to this elemental equal to twice the number of Tailwinds removed. So there's a lot of stuff for the spending the Tailwinds is kind of like a resource to do stuff as opposed to just getting the extra attack, which is kind of fun. Then we have our Far Strike, our 2 Close Strikes, our Natural Restoration, which are all the same from the base game, which is why I'm not re-going over each one. It's, in case you haven't seen, it's just our ranged attack, our melee attack, our simple defense. We have Wind Charm, Instant Command. Place card when a winged elemental in your formation is attacked. Add 1 Tailwind to an elemental in your formation. And then the Ritual card, which, without having the Kickstarter version, means this card might not be useful, but this is a Kickstarter exclusive set. Then hopefully you already got the Kickstarter base game as well. Add a Tailwind to up to 2 elementals in your formation if you have at least 2 basic elementals in your formation. So, what I feel would happen is this: if for some reason you bought the base game, and then you were like, oh, I don't really care about the ritual or this stuff as much, or like I couldn't pick up, I picked it up at retail, right? And then you saw this as an expansion, you wanted the more characters, you picked it up on eBay or secondhand, or like your local game store, whoever has it. You just have these ritual cards that you just take these out of the deck, because they're not going to be useful to you. Alright. Up next, we have the Sand. We have Dusty, who gets to collect our 3 gold, like usual. We have 4 copies of Clay, our basic elemental. Our Sand Warrior, we have Armored Shell, who's our Armadillo. When you add any number of erosion elements in your opponent's formation, add 1 erosion to a connected element. Thundering Charge, a Rhino. Add 1 erosion to an element in your opponent's row 1. I like how the Sand guys have glass weapons. Like each guy kind of has a different thing. You expect, oh, they have sand weapons, they have glass weapons, which is really cool. Vicious Carcatal, which is a Sand Fox. You add any number of erosion to any number of elementals in your opponent's formation, gain 1 gold. Our champions. Eternal Wanderer, who's a camel. Add 2 erosion to an elemental in your opponent's formation. If that elemental already has at least 1 erosion on it, add 1 erosion to a connected elemental. The Scaled Storm, a Horned Lizard. This elemental defeats an elemental in your opponent's formation. Add 5 erosions to elementals in your opponent's formation. Any distribution. That's nuts. And then Jack of All Blades, our Jackrabbit. When this elemental attacks, add 3 erosion to an elemental in your opponent's formation. Cool. So they're going to keep adding lots of these down there. Then we have our Far Strike, our ranged attack, our 2 Close Strikes, our Restoration, our Sand Charm. Play this card when a Sand Elemental in your formation is attacked. Add 2 erosion to the attacking elemental. And then Sand Sorcery, our ritual. Add 3 erosion to an elemental in your opponent's formation if you have at least 2 basic elementals in your formation. Cool. Then we do have the Elemental Market deck. There is no command elemental, so we didn't get any additional of those. And I think part of that was because the base Kickstarter version, exclusive edition, had a bunch of extra attacks, and they didn't want to like drown them out. But they had very few brand new characters. They had 4 for each color, not a ton of extra. So in here we are going to get our 2 copies of Dune, who's our 1 and 3, and Grit, who's our 3 and 3, for Sand and for our Sand, with one with an axe, and what the other guy had, he had that sword and shield. Then we will get Rapt Revenge, who's a gecko, mummy gecko. When this elemental attacks, add 1 erosion to the attacked elemental. Nimble Protector, who's a Meerkat. Discard up to 2 cards from your hand, add twice as many erosion elementals. 2 elementals in your opponent's roll 1 and 2 in any distribution. Demolishing Snout, a Warthog. Of course, you have a Meerkat and a Warthog together. When this elemental ranged attacks, add 3 erosion to the attacked elemental. The Mystic Scarab. When the elemental in your formation melee attacks, add 1 erosion to the attacked elemental. Roaring Plunderer. When this elemental is attacked, add 1 erosion to the attacking elemental. This is adding a lot of those. Erode Runner. This is a road runner. Add erosion equal to the number of boost and shield tokens on its elemental to an elemental in your opponent's row 1. Kangaroo. This is a kangaroo. Add 2 erosion to an elemental in your opponent's formation. If this elemental has at least 1 boost, add 1 additional erosion. I work to run with erosion tokens in this set. Desert Strike. After you use this elemental to perform a ritual, add 1 erosion to up to 4 elementals in your opponent's formation, who's a hedgehog. Brutal Bleat Down, who's a mountain goat. Remove all boosts and shields from an elemental in your opponent's row 1, then add the same number of erosions to them. And then finally, our last Sand is Scrappy Rattler. It's a rattlesnake. When an elemental in your row 1 is melee attack, add 1 erosion to the attacking elemental. Cool. I get a lot of erosion tokens. Then in Winged, we have 2 copies of Whirl, who's our 1/3 basic with a sword and shield, and Twister, who's our 3/3 with the twin daggers. We're going to get a lot more birdie type flying characters. When you say bird, just flying characters. We have Thundering Echo, who's a bat. Swap the position of 2 connected non-sage elementals in your opponent's formation. So I like this. They have that tailwind, but it looks like the wing is also going to have a lot of stuff for moving your opponents around. Dragonflight, who's a dragonfly. Discard a card from your hand, add 1 tailwind to a connected elemental in your formation. Bladed Beak, which is like a goose. Add 1 tailwind to this elemental, or remove 1 tailwind from this elemental to deal 3 damage to an elemental in your opponent's row. So you can only have 1 at a time, so you can either remove 1 or add 1. Or you can remove 1 to deal damage. That's kind of cool. Unbridled Storm, which is just a big old sheep. Swap the position of 2 connected elementals in your opponent's formation. Mercenary Mandro. When an elemental in your opponent's formation swaps positions, take 2 gold from your opponent's wallet and add them to your wallet. That's the only card I've seen that's had you to steal money from your opponent. This is really fun. Nimble Dagger, who's a flying squirrel. When 2 elementals in your opponent's formation swap positions, remove 1 damage counter from this elemental. Lupine Striker. who's a Snow Wolf. Or maybe a Husky dog. Could be either, I guess. When you use this elemental to perform a ritual, add 1 Tailwind to each elemental used to perform this ritual. So you kind of see they're doing the same thing as the base game. The last couple of cards are going to be based on ritual. So again, if you don't like the ritual element, you could probably just remove the last 4 cards that were in these stacks. Unfortunately, you have to look at each one after you shuffle them. But it is at least an option. Punishing Okapi, which is what that creature is. It's an Okapi, which I'm probably mispronouncing that. Add 1 Tailwind to an elemental in your formation. If this elemental has at least 1 boost on it, add Tailwind to a second element in your formation. The Windswept Warlock is a vulture. When this elemental deals damage by attacking, add 1 Tailwind to it. And then finally we have Winds of Change, who is a secretary something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, I've never heard of it before. Secretary bird of some type. When there's 2 elementals in your opponent's formation swap positions, add 1 Tailwind to an elemental in your formation. Alright, so that's cool. So that's what we have for that. Yeah, so if you really enjoyed the base game, you can definitely pick up this, whether you have to look at on eBay, or if you have to get it from their store, or from a local board game store that backed a Kickstarter. Definitely do that. Get some neat stuff. They're going to have some spots in the tray here. I'm just going to kind of zoom out on this really quick. So you have spots here for our tokens. 2 different types, and you can put your other one in there. Spots for your 2 different types of decks. Looks like they should fit sleeved. We'll have to find out after I go through, when I do the video for, in the video for all the accessories and stuff, I'll have all the cards sleeved. I'll see if you can fit all this stuff into the base box, or if you're going to have 2 separate boxes. They don't usually make, maybe the cards might fit, but there might not be enough room for all the boards. In the base game. So you might end up having to separate both, but we'll find out and we'll check on that. So see you guys in the next video. This was the Sand and Wind expansion. Bye.